time starts momentarily. But first, thanks to our wonderful sponsors. I don't know if you just saw the news, but average U.S. household debt just hit $152,000. That's mortgages, cars, cards, student loans. But the national debt just hit $37 trillion. It's all going out. Ask yourself this. When the system hiccups, who bails you out? It's not the Fed, not the politicians, and that's why I own gold. Gold doesn't need a CEO, doesn't need missed earnings. It doesn't freeze your account on a Friday at 4:59 while they print.
In downtown Grand Rapids, we're talking about what matters most to you in West Michigan. Join the conversation now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on Wood Radio.
Now, welcome in. Holy cow. What a weekend. And no, I did not win the lottery. I didn't. I'm here. Although I'll tell you, if I won, I probably would still. I might take a little more time off here and there, but I'd still be. I like what I do. I like being here with you. By the way, we got updates for you. We're going to get to you today, so we'll get right into it. Big news from Trump, and you're going to want to hear the latest. Because it's been a back and forth lately. Hang on.
News, weather, and traffic. And the biggest stories of the day. We're talking about what matters most in West Michigan and beyond. This is the Big Three. Now, today's Big Three.
Yeah, the stories that matter most. You'll be talking about these around the water cooler, the dinner table, no matter where you are, powered by our good friends at Heartland Home Mortgage, Dave Galloway and the team. Now that interest rates are starting to move, man. We had conversations about the 50-year mortgage as well. Dave can answer any questions you might have, especially when it comes to refinance, you want to buy, home equity line of credit. They can do it all for you at hhmlending.com. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to watch what happens when people have to recertify. Well, they kind of already do some of this anyway, but they're going to start from scratch. Talking about this, Brooke Rollins, the Secretary of Agriculture, how much waste, fraud, and abuse, now that we know from the shutdown, and the Democrats, and interesting, I think they like this. They know how much was in the red states, but the blue states refused to give any information to the Secretary of Ag when they came in. So can you imagine? I mean, it's a massive amount, even in the red states where dead people are receiving SNAP benefits. And people are receiving 2 payments and things like that. Can you imagine what it's like in blue states?
But here's the other thing, Pamela, I think is really important. I've talked quite a bit about this. SNAP is a broken program. SNAP is full of corruption. We found 186,000 dead people. We asked for the SNAP data earlier this year. It has never been turned over to the federal government before. We had 29 states turn it over, mostly red states. 21 states said, no, thank you, we're in litigation. From just those 29 states, we have found, again, almost 200,000 dead people. It's remarkable.
And I understand.
So
and the big, beautiful bill that passed by Republicans.
I'll pause it. I'll let you hear more of this here in a second, but that's pretty incredible. Making folks recertify, go through that process again is what they're looking at. The aim, weeding out waste, fraud, and abuse. And some of the stories we've seen recently are pretty incredible.
Number 2.
The days after the government officially reopened, the FAA has lifted emergency flight restrictions. Dozens of major airports across the country, you're probably hearing this morning. The 40-day shutdown forcing that 10% cut in flight capacity. If you've been out flying recently in those last 40 days, you know what's kind of a headache it's been for a lot of folks in a lot of places. I have family that, they have their kids that live in Montana. They're in Indiana. And so instead of flying, they drove. And I thought, wow, what a move. But they didn't want to get stuck. Everything getting back to normal here as things ramp back up. Delays may linger moving into next week, Thanksgiving, as we prepare for that. Hopefully they'll get things back on track. They are trying their best. We'll give you the latest updates there. And he said it's time to release the files. President Trump making the case on Truth Social over the weekend, and according to him, demanding full transparency on the Jeffrey Epstein case, calling on all Epstein-related documents, especially client lists, which I don't know if they even have. I don't know if we're going to get, but it would be a great move to see that, and then actually see the accountability. Lots of folks want to see this happen. Democrats most recently jumping on this bandwagon. We'll see how serious they are when some of their favorites maybe end up in the crosshairs. That may be a problem. Well, we'll see. We'll see what they end up saying. Now, this is just a phony list. This is Trump making this up just to get, That's probably the things that you'll hear. I can already hear it coming. Here's what he said on Truth, by the way. As I said on Friday night aboard Air Force One to the fake news media, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide. It's time to move on from this Democrat hoax perpetrated by radical left lunatics in order to deflect from the great success of the Republican Party, including our recent victory of the Democrat shutdown. Now, I got to clarify some of this because I know this is going to, rile some of you up. It may ruffle feathers, but I want to explain because you got to speak Trump and what he's actually saying. So let me get to that here in just a second, and we'll dig more into it. But we got to give you a chance to join in the conversation as well.
Call Justin now at 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. West Michigan Live with Justin Barclay on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
All right. It's very important to make the distinction because, again, this is something I post on Truth Social. He may even say it, and again, people misunderstand. I mishear this all the time. He's not saying what happened with Epstein is a hoax. He's not saying that this story about Jeffrey Epstein and what the accusers, the victims, are claiming is a hoax. That's not what he's saying. What he's saying is this story that Democrats hadn't cared. They couldn't have cared less about it for the last, I don't know how many, 10, 15, whatever the amount of time this thing's been boiling and bubbling up for. I mean, it's been, this guy's been in the news. And I don't have to tell you if you've been paying attention to any of this. You're demanding justice. You want to see it too. But that's what he's saying is that's not the hoax. The hoax is that they all of a sudden care about it. Do you understand what I'm saying here? The hoax is essentially that all of a sudden now they care about what these victims had to say. All of a sudden now they want this list released. All of a sudden now they feel like this is an important subject. And the reason is pretty simple, right? It's because they think they can hurt Trump with it. In fact, you saw them last week. They got busted in it just within hours of releasing. What was it? Was that some of the emails that they had put out last week? They said, well, look at these emails. It proves Trump is in this thing. No, they got busted within hours. They put one email out, redacted the name of the victim. Now, the reason they said, well, this Vic, we don't want anybody to get hurt here. She's dead. The victim was Virginia Giuffre, and she unfortunately took her own life earlier last year. And it's tragic what happened to her. It's tragic what's happened to many of these folks. But the Democrats didn't want you to see her name, and there's a reason for that, and we talked about it last week, by the way. The reason why they didn't want you to see her name is because she's come out and said Trump was nothing but a gentleman. Every time I ever saw or heard anything about the guy, he was never around. He was not involved in any of this trafficking, any of the things that Epstein is accused of. Never went to the island, any of that we have any details for. Yes, he flew on Epstein's plane, but these rich people flying each other's planes like they're giving each other rides back and forth, carpooling. It happens all the time. So if you look at where he flew, Trump flew from places like
well, Mar-a-Lago, right, Palm Beach, to New York City or New Jersey to his golf club. Trump frustrated more than anything. If you want to speak Trump, if you want to understand what's really going on, I'm not saying we don't need and shouldn't have details. Absolutely. But you got to prioritize things too. I'm also not saying that you can't walk and chew gum at the same time. But what Trump is most frustrated about more than anything is the job he feels he's been doing. And probably he expects from the media some of this. I'm sure he expects it from the Democrats. That's not even a question. But what he is most probably upset about, most probably frustrated about, is that there have been a number of folks on the right that have got wrapped up into this that don't understand the process of trying to get these things done. And at the same time, he's got, like I said, bigger fish to fry. You might say this is the biggest fish he could fry. And some of that may be true in some ways. But at the same time, getting the economy back on track, making sure we don't end up in World War III, making sure the border's sealed. See, this is the problem with America. And I think it's a problem with our society in general, because now we're so, what have you done for me lately? We're so on demand. We can have answers about anything from the internet down from the cloud from on high at any moment in time, anytime we want to know anything. It doesn't matter. Hey, I have a question about Gordon Lightfoot. Where was he from? My dad and I were talking about Gordon Lightfoot this weekend. By the way, that's where I was at Friday. I did not win the lottery, but my dad, in some ways I did. My dad turned 80. So I went down. He's had some, memory issues lately, and I just try to spend as much time as I can with him. And went down, we celebrated. We had a great time with my folks, and got a chance to just have a really good time driving around. You get the memory issues. One of the things you do is you talk about music, you play music, because it's something that brings things like right back. It was kind of really miraculous how that works. But we're playing some Gordon Lightfoot and talking to him about the 50th anniversary of the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, and we kind of got into it. Where was Gordon from? They had actually, my mom and dad, seen him in concert a few times, and where was he from? We had that whole conversation. I said, I don't know. I think Canada. Well, guess what? Hey, Siri, where's Gordon Lightfoot from?
Gordon Lightfoot was born in Aurelia.
Where? Aurelia? Where's Aurelia? She said, Gordon Lightfoot was born in Aurelia. Hey, Siri, where was Gordon Lightfoot born? Where is Aurelia? Canada. There it was. It was Canada. There you go. But my point is, you have answers on your phone in seconds. You don't have to think about it. And so I think one of the things we've lost, and by the way, it is a fruit of the Spirit for those out there, we've lost patience. So I think some of these things that we want to see instant answers to. We thought we could flip a switch or snap our fingers and have everything done. And at the same time, it's just not how it works. Now, one of those things we're watching as we speak is trying to get the cost of everyday things down, cost of living. Some of that's happening, maybe not fast enough for everybody, and that's understandable as well when you're in pain and you're feeling a pinch. Obviously that's an issue as well, but it is. We do have lots of big things that are happening. We have the border closed. We have the fentanyl dried up that's coming into the United States. We've got a lot of that cut off in just record numbers. Trump has been so effective at this. He's actually crime in Mexico. Go look this up. Crime in Mexico. Adam, look it up for me. Give me the stat. Crime in Mexico has gone down. I think like 50% in Mexico. In Mexico. So this is the point. Yeah, and I get it. I mean, I understand. I understand the frustration on some of these things. However, it does take a while to move some of this along. We have seen some immediate effects. And there's another piece that might also be, and I don't know all of this, but I would just say there's another piece of this that I think may play a part of it too. There may be a piece of this that people around him are giving him advice and say, this doesn't actually, yeah, it's not a big deal. Don't pay attention to this. This is not going to get you reelected. I know he's hearing some of that on some of the election integrity stuff. I've heard some of that. But again, nothing's perfect. Nobody's going to be, and for some of you, and you know who you are, black pillars. Nothing would be perfect for anyone. The sky's always falling. It's always going to fall. Doesn't matter who's in there. That's the point. So go ahead, hide in the bunker, put the hat back on. And I understand. But a few other of us know that things kind of take time, and we give it time to develop. At the same time, you got to keep the pressure on. And by the way, some of that has happened. So that's the latest story on this. And I don't know. We'll see. We get a vote. Who knows whether they get one in the Senate? I don't know what's going to happen. But he's told judges to release files over there. People come on my social media every now and then and go, hey, release the files. And it's funny. He's told judges to release. I've said, which files are we talking about? Which ones do you want? Because people don't even know. There's a lot of times these are Democrats that come on as release the files. They have no idea what they're talking. They have no clue. They're just parroting something they heard. So, yeah, it's high time that all this happens. It just will be a matter of time before we see how it all kind of shakes out. I don't know. But at the end of the day, there's a reason why they all of a sudden care about it now. And you want to take that into consideration. I think that's where a lot of the frustration comes from. Particularly with some of this Marjorie Taylor Greene stuff, back and forth, et cetera. And I'm going to get off to all of that now. Maybe we'll do that in the after show a little bit later on. But the meme on the screen right now on the behind-the-scenes live stream, Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube, all those different places. The Clintons invited Epstein to the White House 17 times. But Democrats think the guy that kicked Epstein out of the country club is the problem.
Informative, engaging. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Of course, the best part, it's Bill in that blue dress, that painting.
To bail out the Whitmer administration for mistakes made during the coronavirus pandemic. A bill introduced to forgive unemployment overpayments to most of the 350,000 people here in Michigan who received the extra money to the tune of almost $3 billion. The Michigan Board of Ed adopts controversial new sex ed guidelines. This comes despite significant pushback from parents, advocacy groups, and at least one board member. And President Trump, speaking with reporters Sunday night en route from Palm Beach back to the White House in D.C., he's asked about the Democrats and the ongoing push to extend Obamacare subsidies, which are expiring next month.
Negotiating with lawmakers, and I've had personal talks with some Democrats. I can't tell you who they are.
For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
A husband and wife brutally stabbed to death.
Okay. Look, some of you just gonna be right about everything, so I'll just leave it at that. But here it is from Grok. I know from what I know about a guy who's actually embedded and did some work down with the TV folks down for Newsmax in Mexico. We just had this guy in, Jason Jones, interesting guy, and he's a border intel expert specialist, and he's the one I heard this stat from. So then I went back and looked it up just to confirm. Now Adam found. Adam found 37% decrease in homicides in Mexico, organized crime down 14%. I don't know how recent those were. Grok found this. Grok said overall, and then my question is crime down in Mexico since Trump took office. Yes. Overall, crime rates in Mexico are down, particularly homicides, which are the primary metric for violent crime, have declined significantly since Donald Trump took office on January 20th, 2025. According to official Mexican government data, independent reports show a roughly 28% drop in daily homicides. And there's a whole, if you want to just go do the research yourself, go look that up. I'm just telling you what I heard, and what I'm saying to you is it is an accomplishment. One of Trump's biggest frustrations right now is nobody giving him credit for the work that he's done. That's all this is. So you'd understand. That's the simple long and short of it. That's partially where we are with all of this. So, and my point was, he's done so much. Shelley, watch the riots. We have riots in the United States. I mean, you can argue with numbers all you want based on one thing that happened in one place. Now, first of all, I'm not arguing with you that Mexico's unsafe. I wouldn't go there. So we're on the same boat in that one. But at the same time, my point is that Trump has done a lot, and the people that aren't giving him credit for it, I mean, you're worse than Democrats. I mean, absolutely worse than Democrats. Some of you are like, well, I voted for him, but he's not perfect. And he hasn't done the one thing that I wanted him to do. And so now I think he's worse than Kamala. Can you imagine if Kamala Harris, or just wait, you think things are so bad now, wait till Gavin Newsom gets in office. Oh, that'll be absolutely wonderful. With friends like these, who needs enemies? That's my point. Golly. Just go hide out in the bunker, people. I'm just telling you. Hang on, back on the air. No wonder. See, I'm getting frustrated thinking about it. I'm getting frustrated here thinking about it. No wonder he's frustrated. Hang on, back next. I got to get back. We just got to get him into the news here. Stand by.
App, search Snafu with Ed Helms, and listen now.
Setwood Radio is a preset now on our iHeartRadio app. Powered by Michigan Auto Law. Auto accident attorneys. Visit autolaw.com.
That's autolaw.com.
Coming up after our bottom of the hour news, check the headlines. They've got a big story, and in fact, it's a big event. Ottawa County Patriots are talking about the violence and the rise of it, not just politically, but here in the country. And you know, all of this stuff that you hear about and all the things that you see about, you think they may be political. And in some ways they might be. But at the very root of it, there's something even deeper. We'll talk about that coming up. Lieutenant Colonel Denny Gillum joining us in just moments right here on West Michigan Live. We're back after this.
This winter, Meyer Gardens brings you Enlighten, where art, light, and nature shine together in a mile of glowing pathways.
Okay. All right. See, Shelley, you're not asking questions, you're arguing. And I love you, so I can tell you this. But what you're doing is the same thing that lots of people on the left do. They build the narrative in their head. And by the way, social media is really good at this. It builds a narrative, a story in your head. And so you look for it's bias confirmation, confirming information. And if you are confronted with information that is not confirming to that bias, to that story you've already got built in your head, you experience this, and it's kind of pain. This is why some of the folks on the left say that, words are violence, and the way people think about certain things are violence, because they literally experience pain when they have that cognitive dissonance
that occurs when they're presented with alternate information, facts that don't support the thing that they believe. So what you're saying is that stat that I just told you couldn't possibly be true because there were some riots in Mexico. And all I'm saying is, hey, they can both be true at the same time. And it could also be true that Mexico still isn't safe enough for me to want to go down there. I don't know. I saw some people, they were talking online about they're traveling and they travel in their trailer or something and they're kind of young and they got their dog with them and I think they're in Baja and it looks like a great lifestyle. They're just traveling the world in this thing and they're off the grid or whatever they're doing, and they're online social media talking about it. No, it's cool and everything. But then they're talking about how they had something. I didn't get the full picture of it because I came on at like half this time that they were talking about. And they were like, oh, we've been threatening, this is happening. And well, the authorities were really good in helping us, the Mexican police, essentially. Really good in helping us do this, that, and the other thing. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know that I would be down there in my travel. So I'm thinking like, maybe it's time to go. Maybe it's time to get out of here. I would not be trusting the authorities. It's just the stuff that's happening down there is just not good. And this is all, again, based off the conversation that we were just having that I said, look, Trump is doing such a great job that even crime is down in Mexico. It's not just here in our country, but in Mexico. So, I mean, we can dispute stats all day long, whether we believe them or not. Mexican government stats, it's a whole nother thing. But at the end of the day, it's pretty clear what we're watching here. I mean, and again, I mean, guys, we don't have to get into fights with each other on this stuff. It's not that big of a deal. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I can find riots in Mexico. Okay. NBC News describes the riots in Mexico as mostly peaceful. That's beautiful. Proceeds us how to tell us that 120 people were injured, with 100 of those being police officers. This is just beautiful. Well, I'm glad we're talking about it so we can at least see it because it is hilarious. Look at this. Mostly peaceful. Holy moly. I don't know about that. All right, let me see. I think if we cut to this one, you can see mostly peaceful. Demonstration was mostly peaceful, but ended with some young people clashing with World War II was mostly peaceful until the fighting started. You had just the negotiations, the back and forth, it was mostly peaceful until we dropped those bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but these things happen. It's just the way they word this stuff is just hilarious. And if it wasn't so serious, I guess it would be even more funny. But I just, I can't tell you how that gives me a laugh. November 15th, demonstrations led by Gen Z activists protesting President Claudia Sheinbaum's handling of corruption and cartel violence. They're probably protesting all the crackdowns that they've had on the crime there. I don't know. Drew thousands to the Zocalo Square, reflecting growing youth discontent amid Mexico's homicide rate exceeding 30,000 annually. Well, it's down, but it's exceeding. Attached footage captures chaotic scenes of tear gas.
confronting riot police near historic buildings. Interesting. I would imagine, especially if they're young people, I don't know. And the way NBC wrote about it, I would imagine it's probably more of a color revolution type of thing. Pictures from the riots in Mexico City. Pay taxes, learn Spanish, respect my culture. Is this AI? Wow. Not your home. Interesting. Mexico's president is soft on crime. Well, I don't have the full details, but I'm just telling you. I've heard differently that they've actually been cracking down on the cartels. They've had success. So, I mean, we cannot believe my source, I guess, but he's been there and in it. But maybe they're just not as good on it as they want it to be. Hang on, we gotta get back on here. Stand by.
Friend Justin Barclay. The Glenn Beck program coming up at 10 on Wood Radio.
Say good morning to the folks watching the behind-the-scenes live stream over on Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter Locals, YouTube's a VIP. Hemi, Lou, good to see you. Panda, Terry, over on the Rumbles this morning. Critter, Ginger, Nancy, Sneebor, good to see you too. Appreciate y'all on the Facebook. Brian, Suzanne, Doug, Jim, Shelley, Dave, and Tammy, so many others. You can always stream us, by the way, if you'd like, as we do the live stream, behind the scenes live stream, where the conversation continues. And then we have like this after show thing that we do. It's the fastest hour in radio, and it just flies by every single day. We want to make sure that we give you an opportunity to join in that conversation. So that's just what we do. Hey, $2,000 and your tariff rebate check may be on the way. In fact, the Secretary of Treasury is already talking about who's going to get them. That's an interesting story in itself. We'll get into that coming up. First, our good friend, Lieutenant Colonel Denny Gillum, is joining us on the line. In fact, part of a big event happening tomorrow with our good friends, Ottawa County Patriots, soon to be the West Michigan Patriots. And really, every time they have these events, a moment where folks get to come out, learn something about what's going on. Violence in America is the name of this event, and we've seen it, political violence and some of the other really sad but evil really events that have taken place in this country as of recent. And one of the speakers on this topic tomorrow is Lieutenant Colonel Denny Gillum. Thank you, sir, for joining us. We appreciate you as always.
Hey, Justin, always good to be hanging out with you. We've been friends for a long time.
You know, this is a really it's been a lot of wake-up calls, I think, for folks in the last year or so. We've seen multiple assassination attempts on President Trump. As a candidate, and we've seen, Lord knows how much has taken place that we don't know behind the scenes. We've seen the successful, unfortunately, assassination of Charlie Kirk in recent days as well, and in all the violence in the streets with Antifa, the protests that occur, and some of the other things that we've seen. And all of this, I think, has folks concerned about that challenge and the rise of violence and crime in America and how it can be tackled. The interesting thing is, and I know you'll note this too, that as we look for solutions, some of them might be political, some of them might be, policy driven, but at the end of the day, a lot of this is spiritual.
Yes, sir. I mean, your point's well taken. And to use Charlie Kirk as an example, there are people out there that are going to murder other people, and that's a bad thing. But when people rejoice at the murder of someone, and okay, that maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you might rejoice at the murder of a murderer, rapist, killer, but somebody who was seeking conversations with people to discuss things, as Charlie Kirk was, and then people rejoicing at his murder, there's something going on here. And as you pointed out, There's politics and other things, but it certainly is a spiritual aspect to that too, and that's bad news. As a matter of fact, just recently, Turning Point USA was setting up to have a big event at the University of California, Berkeley. And they had something like 1,500 people getting there, and they were violently attacked by Antifa people. I mean, they were shooting rockets and fireworks at the people as they were trying to get in. One of the people that was there, that came to see it and support it, a student, said it was like a war zone. That isn't the America that I fought to defend. That's not the America that our founding fathers sought to create. There's something truly evil going on here.
Yeah, you know, in that particular situation, and that's a really good example. They took a young man who was there handed these T-shirts that said freedom. They were like the white shirt that Charlie was wearing that day he was assassinated, but they were red, and then they had white letters on them, and he was handing those out. Then he also had a cross around his neck. And during that moment, somebody came up and tried to pull, and Ned was successful pulling the cross off of his neck. And the guy ended up in a fight, bloodied. And boy, I think at the first they had to arrest. I think they arrested him too. They arrested everyone until they got it all sorted out. But there you go, just another example of that horrific. Again, it's some of this stuff you can't. There is no other way to see it other than we wrestle not against flesh and blood.
That's right. And indeed, churches have been under threat in our country for well over 10 years, but it's been manifested a lot more lately. I mean, here in Michigan, there was a attack on a church, a Muslim, not a Muslim church,
it's that Mormon church.
Mormon church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And a Catholic school in another state was attacked. The kids in the school. Again, there's some evil going on here, but I see it, as you pointed out, basically a spiritual thing. But, and just look at Antifa, and while they were started to be a protest, they basically left-wing protests, but not violent. They certainly have become violent of late. That doesn't mean all of them. But there's just so many other groups out there that are Nicaragua, from Venezuela, all that stuff. And again, speaking of Venezuela and China and Mexico, the drugs that are being brought illegally into our country. I was reading the other day that because of the illegal drugs being brought into our country, we lose as many Americans killed every year as were killed in all of the Vietnam War. That's a war.
It is.
And we absolutely need to stop it. But it's going on. And what are we going to do? Do nothing? I think not. Another point is that it all seems to be left wing, extreme left wing. There's the only thing the right wing's been able to come up with was the protest at the White House, where they invaded the White House. And now there's all kinds of information showing that the FBI had people there undercover participating. And besides that, in that whole invasion of the Capitol, only one person was killed, and that was a female veteran who was standing next to a police officer when she got shot by another police officer. That hardly compares to some of this other stuff we've seen. So this is something that's got to be dealt with politically. We need to talk to people that's the thing. That was Charlie Kirk's thing. He wanted to talk to people, not force things on them. And talking to these kind of folks, I suspect they've already locked their mind on something, whether it's mentally, spiritually, or some other way. This is not good for our country, and we have to take action. We do.
What can folks do? Obviously, prayer is going to be a big part of that. That's how we fight our battles. We know that the Lord's already won them. At the end of the day, there's got to be some things that we can do in the physical, like in the natural as well. But I don't mean to discount prayer. I just want to give people a list and maybe some options. I know you're going to be talking about this at great length tomorrow night with those folks at the Ottawa County Patriots, the West Michigan Patriots meeting. As it takes place 6 to 8:30, the first floor of the main conference room there at the Howard Miller Community Center. There in Zenon, Lieutenant Colonel Denny Gillum on the line. What can folks do? What should we be doing to combat these things and fight this righteous fight?
I taught American government at Grand Rapids Community College for 15 years. And one of the questions I would ask the first day of class was, why do we celebrate the 4th of July? And in 15 years, some people say, well, it's Independence Day. But I say, well, what happened that day? In 15 years, I had one student who knew that was the 4th of July, 1776, was when Congress passed the Declaration of Independence. Now, that speaks to our schools, but it also speaks to our families. Our students just don't know our history. They don't know what a fantastic country we live in. I believe that God created our country. There never was a constitutional republic before us like ours. And I believe that God gives you something, He expects you to take care of it, be good stewards of it. So one of the things we have to do, here's one of my summaries of political science. The word politics. Poly means many. Ticks are blood-sucking insects. We have to stop electing ticks.
Yeah.
Don't just vote for somebody because, well, I always vote Republican, I always vote Democrat, I always vote pro-this, I always vote anti-that. Somebody gives me a list and I just voted. No. You've got to know something about the people and vote for the best people. We, the citizens, we have to pay attention to our government. If you got kids in school, do you know the school board members? It's important to know something about the president, but the school board member is going to impact your family and your community more than anybody else. We have to care and look into things political. We have to take responsibility for having a good functioning school, county, city, and you can't do everything, but you can do something and do the best you can do. That's the call to action. And pray.
Amen.
Yes, that. But it's our country. It's our community. We have to take responsibility for it and take care of it.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the bottom line.
Give your faith some feet and get in the game as well. Lieutenant Colonel Denny Gillum with us. And again, that event is happening tomorrow. If you want more information, we'll put it up in the stack as well. Steve Redmond and the folks at Ottawa County Patriots, now West Michigan Patriots. Michael Hewitt, Sarah Matswick, I think is her name. She's the prosecutor there in Ottawa County. And Ralph Reban, all going to be there as they talk about these very serious subjects. Again, doors open at 5:30 tomorrow. And Colonel, before I let you go, you have you formerly of the Front Lines of Freedom radio show, you have a new project you're working on too. We'll give you a chance to let folks know about it.
Yeah, I hosted Front Lines of Freedom for 18 years. I ended it last June and started a podcast called America's Front Lines because I think America's fighting a lot of wars on a lot of different front lines. It's a podcast. The website's American. The website is americasfrontlines.com, and you can pick it up on iHeart or a lot of the other podcast areas. But americasfrontlines.com.
There you go. So keep in touch, stay in touch with the Colonel, and definitely get and check that event out on Tuesday, and check the podcast. Download the podcast as well. Colonel, always a pleasure. We appreciate you taking the time to be here with us and continue. Thank you for your courage and your continued courage in the fight.
Thank you, brother. God bless America. Hope to see you tomorrow.
You too. God bless. Back with more in just minutes. Trying to get the train back on the tracks, folks. That's what we're doing. And we appreciate you being part of it. More on the way. Oh, yeah. You could see a $2,000 tariff check. There's been a lot of chatter about this, what the Treasury Secretary actually has to say about it all, and who would be getting them. We'll dig into after this.
Make your smart speaker smarter. Stream us.
Okay, getting smarter now.
It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Monday, November 17th. I'm Robin Poffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. The Lansing Regional Chamber endorsing Mike Duggan's independent run for governor of Michigan. The Political Action Committee saying the mayor of Detroit is the only candidate with a track record of real results. In other news, the Michigan Board of Ed adopts controversial new sex ed guidelines. The Midwesterner has been all over this story, previously reporting that the new guidelines mark a shift toward a more comprehensive sex ed structure with instruction on gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation beginning in the much younger grades. And President Trump telling reporters on Air Force One Sunday night Democrats are bringing up Jeffrey Epstein to deflect from the 43-day government shutdown fiasco.
They're using Jeffrey Epstein as a deflection from the tremendous success that we're having as a party.
For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
A husband and wife.
All right, folks. Rolling right along. After show coming up in minutes. A video from Andy No. Let's see if I can find it. They have a Barron Trump news account, which I don't think is really Barron Trump, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was, which is wild. Oh, my goodness. Colonel's always fun. Always a good guy. A little mix in the markets. We'll do a touch on that coming up here in just a second as well. And then I got the tariff. The tariff checks. Yeah, look, I'll believe him when I see him too. I've said the same thing. But it would be nice. We've talked about this. There's some people say just pay down the debt. You're not going to pay down enough debt with the checks that are coming in, with the amount of money that's coming in. Stipend during the campaign. Oh, look at this. Rashida Tlaib busted, solicited illegal campaign payments, and got the checks. Democrat Rashida Tlaib literally emailed her own campaign begging for personal cash, car maintenance, rent, childcare, other necessities. 100% illegal personal use of campaign funds explicitly banned under federal law. And guess what? Her campaign cut her checks anyway. $2,000 here, then another $2,000 there, and then a massive $15,500, all documented in her own emails and the checks themselves. It's far worse than anything George Santos was ever charged with. But she's a Democrat, writes M.A. Rothman, and they do it differently with the D. Look at that. Boy, that's some scandalous information. That's not a tariff check. Holy smokes. Thanks for sharing today, by the way, on Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube. No matter where you watch, thank you for sharing. Repost over on X and repost over on Rumble. And give us a thumbs up. That helps. Like, comments, they all help. You help support this program, get the word out, and we appreciate it. Hang on, back on the air. Stand by. Markets coming in mixed this morning. On NASDAQ is up about 130 points, probably because of Alphabet. Buffett's got they've got some
Alphabet. That's what they're excited about. Some of that's jumping. Hey, it doesn't matter whether you want to retire today, tomorrow, 10, 20 years down the road, as long as you're doing things the right way. The folks at Talent Wealth, by the way, have a system in place. It's a holistic approach. It is not a one-size-fits-all, but custom for each and every individual, because your needs are going to be different from everybody else. That's why Mike Lester and the team do that. That's why they've been doing it for years. Guarding Your Nest Egg. GuardingYourNestEgg.com is where you can find out more, by the way. Mike's expertise in retirement planning ensures that your nest egg is well guarded, so you not just survive, but you thrive during those years. At Talent Wealth, they believe in proactive planning and personalized advice. And you can reach out and ask them all the questions you have. Today, if you want to call them, 616-661-1000. That's 616-661-1000, or go online to guardingyournestegg.com to find out more. I was just telling everybody about these $2,000 tariff checks, but you know, it's interesting. Before we came back on the air, it looks like we had some breaking news. I just shared this over on Facebook. This is M.A. Rothman writes, Rashida Tlaib collecting and soliciting campaign payments and got checks, something that's completely illegal. Soliciting and accepting campaign payments and got checks. $2,000 here, not a tariff check. Another $2,000, then a whopping $15,500, all completely illegal. She begged in these emails for funds from the campaign for personal use, child care, other necessities, car maintenance, rent, etc. And he says she may be under the microscope for some of this now. By the way, you can see all of it. We posted it online, too. Like I said, over on Facebook, we'll try and get that up on the stack a little bit later on. How about $2,000 for a legal payment of tariff checks? Well, that's what Scott Bessent says could be coming, but only for a few qualified individuals. You might be one of them. Who knows exactly how this works out, but Sunday, Scott Bessent said working families would receive the $2,000 checks proposed by President Trump. The dividends would be for working families. We have an income limit, he said. Bessent told the Maria Bartiromo show on Fox News Sunday. Futures proposing sending at least $2,000 to most Americans. The president said his administration will use revenue brought in from tariffs to pay down. And then the rest of it, by the way, he is going to put to pay down the $38 trillion and climbing debt that we have here. So I'll be patiently waiting by the mailbox today. I don't know about you, but I will be. I sort of think I'll believe it when I see it approached a lot of this stuff, but they want to do it. We'll have more details, I'm sure, as the day goes on. Come back program coming up next. We'll do an after show. Never enough time to get to all of these stories and more. We'll try and break through some of them in moments. Always a pleasure. Appreciate you being here. We say make it a great day in the meantime, and God bless. Back tomorrow morning.
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. God is the kingdom, our glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
WOOD Grand Rapids, WOOD FM Muskegon. The news is next on Wood Radio.
All right. I won't really be at the mailbox today. That was just sort of a joke, but it's all good. It's all good. Hang on, folks. Hang on. Stand by. Hang on. Let me move this thing, and then I'll click a few buttons, and we'll be live. Sort of. For our after show, the show after the Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barclay. Now, welcome into the after show, the show after the show, folks. Never enough time, it just never a dull moment either. We just have so much to do. Somebody asked me yesterday, how's the radio business going? I said, well, it's Never a dull moment. I mean, I guess it's good for the business, good for things to talk about, but sometimes, like I said, feel like you're drinking from a fire hose. So we'll do our best to cover it all. Yeah, we'll do our best to make sure that you hear it all and as much as we can, at least. Today, as we roll through some of these big stories, like I said, that we have yet to have a chance to cover. Now, I just mentioned Rashida Tlaib getting busted for writing. They wrote checks to Rashida Tlaib. This is wild, but from her own campaign to herself for personal use. And again, that's like $20,000, nearly $20,000. That's a emerging story. I'll just say that's being brought to light right now. Hey, if you haven't done it yet, make sure you share today. Help us get the word about what's going on. And of course, that really helps whether you're sharing this podcast, whether you're sharing what's happening on the live stream. Boy, all of those things and more really help us get the word out. And of course, make sure people are aware. You know what they have shadow banned us. The way Meta and Facebook work. It's kind of silly. Somebody asked me about it last week, and I said, it's funny because on one hand, they've sort of, I don't know how to put this, but they sort of encourage us. They want to monetize the channel, so if occasionally we'll get a little check from Facebook. It's nothing to write home about, trust me. And then the next month, like absolutely nothing. But in between, what they're doing is that they're like shadow banning everything. It's just it's wild to see. And again, it's just one of the reasons why we can't put our eggs in one basket. We got to kind of stretch and spread everything out. And that's why we've given you options. Even the folks, I'm telling you, even the folks on Getter, who some of them prefer Getter to any other platform. We're all over. Yes, I mentioned you Getter folks again today. As I told you, I was going to do my best to make sure I'm mentioning the folks on Getter, but I will tell you, it's a little quieter there, so that sometimes I can't always say, hey, good morning to this person and that person, because I don't see the chat unless you say something like while I'm looking at it. So if you're on Getter, say hey, and we'll say good morning to you as well as I do for the folks on Facebook and all the other folks. Cindy said, by the way, speaking of Facebook, I just got the live notification. It's a little late. And that's probably the one that I had to send out. So they're supposed to send one out when we go live, and they don't always do that either. So that's a whole nother thing. But you know what? We won't spend our whole morning, complaining about Facebook. I just want you to realize that that's why we appreciate your support. And so when you do go to share, especially when it comes to shows, live show, anything really, it could be memes. They actually help us quite a bit too. Any number of things that help people discover what we're doing here and why it matters so much. It's another great way to do it. Last week I got a chance with our good friend Pat Colbeck to appear on Mike Lindell's show on Lindell TV. They had Pat filling in for Mike, and at the last minute, Pat was like, hey, can you come on? I want to talk to you about some things that are happening in Michigan and beyond. Of course, I was happy to do that. We did. And again, it just underscores what Mike is doing and has been doing in the fight. If anybody knows about being shadow banned, if anybody knows about any of it, it's Mike Lindell. I mean, they've been coming after him since the beginning of time, it feels like. Well, they've got a fantastic way to help support. Right now, they got a Made in the USA sale. Save up to 50% off on all kinds of stuff inside the stores at MyPillow or mystore.com/Justin. Use the promo code Justin, and you can save on everything from pillows to, some of the supplements that they've got. And great Christmas gifts. Those My Slipper sale right now, you could save a ton of dough. 50% off your My Coffee subscription. They've got it all.
My Pillow, mystore.com. Justin. Mike continues in the fight. And obviously, when you help support Mike, you also help support this show too. So thank you for your really do. We appreciate you doing it because it does mean the world to us. We appreciate each and every day. All right. We've got Midwesterners on top of it. And I didn't get to hear the full reports today, so I don't know if they mentioned this or not. But you know that this is the newest thing. You know, it was the battery plants, and now it's the data centers. They want to put in the data. So remember, Whitmer used to love the science and the data. She loves the data so much she wants to put in data centers. This is the new boondoggle. And by the way, let these people come in and let them put their own data centers in. Let them figure out their own way to power them. You know, we're going to get so many of these data centers that you're not going to be able to afford your electric bill. I'm not kidding you. If they don't make these people build their own power plants, that they're here to suck up our power and suck up our water. Thank you, Derek. From England, he says, love you, JB. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you. That's really cool. Cross the pond. I appreciate that. I wonder if they're having to deal with some of this as well. I don't know what it looks like where they're building some of these data centers in other places. If it's only America that they're dealing with it. But here you have Jocelyn Benson, the Secretary of State in Michigan, Democrat candidate for governor. She wants to be the governor here, the next governor of the great state of Michigan, and her husband, Ryan Fredericks. Now, don't you think that's interesting too? None of these people have the same last name. Their husband and the wives. Gretchen Whitmer. I don't think her husband's last name is Whitmer, is it? Maybe it is. I don't remember. None of them do it. That's an interesting thing to me too. Now, not that it tells you everything, but isn't that? I'm just thinking it's just wild to me. I don't know why, but I just think it's kind of wild. Ryan Fredericks, the husband of Michigan's Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, the leading Democrat candidate for governor, presented details week on the data center his company is forcing on Saline Township. Fredericks, vice president of billionaire Stephen Ross's related companies, was at the Saline City Council on Monday when he alleged the community is behind a plan to convert 575 acres of prime farmland in Saline Township into massive warehouses filled with computers. We've gone and knocked every single door, he said, in the township twice. The doors I knocked were 10-1 in support. Now, what does this sound like? This sounds exactly to me what they said in, you remember the whole fight in Goshen, Green Charter Township. Said that same thing. He did the same. They all had these like stats. We've knocked all the doors. We've asked all the questions, and the people are predominantly in favor. They want this battery plant, and boy, there was no fighting it. Anyway, you can watch it. The whole meeting's about 45 minutes long. It's a little bit less, but I'll put the link up today for folks to see this as well. But these data, I'm just telling you that this is what's going to drive up your cost. I was asked the other day, what are the biggest issues right now, for people that listen to your show? And I said, well, I think that number one is it's pretty similar. It's very same as what it was, during the election and the campaign. I think it's still cost of living. And then President Trump says, by the way, just wait. We've got some help. Help is on the way for that. In fact, I'll tell you gas prices. I've noticed I was on the road this week. So I could tell you that I know the gas prices are down. In fact, they're down here a little bit, I think, from what I saw here. Then they were down where I was at in Indiana as well. Now, Indiana's a lot cheaper than it is here. It's going to be even more cheaper coming in January when our extra 20 cents gas tax jumps up and bites us in the butt. It'll be interesting to watch. It'll be interesting to watch. But I just, I'm telling you, that's just one of the things. We've seen the cost of the oil and whatnot and gas go down, and that does help. But people also want to see the cost of, I would tell you, energy is going to be a part of this. this is the thing that's coming. I said, yeah, you got all the kitchen table stuff. I said, but the next thing that people don't realize, and it's a big thing, the next thing is going to be energy. Actually, I'll help you with that. Let me rephrase it. Energy is a little bit further down the road. You'll start to see this probably in the next couple of months. Before that, and I would imagine this is going to be as soon as people start seeing what they're actually going to have to pay in January for health insurance. That because the Obamacare subsidies are not just a regular subsidy. This is the what do they call them? Not advanced. It was not extended, enhanced. Obamacare enhanced subsidies. They're going away. Remember, that was a Biden thing. It's going away coming up here in January, essentially. So that's going to hit people. There are going to be some people that see their insurance go up 3-4 times the cost that they're paying right now. Health insurance. There'll be some people that go, I can't afford any of this. I'm just going to have to drop it. That's the next thing. And the thing after that, and particularly here in Michigan, we're going to see it. They're already seeing it in Indiana and Ohio and some other places as well. And that's energy. I mean, if you have $100 electric bill right now or even lower, you may have to pay $500 a month because of these AI data centers and all the rest that they're trying to put in right now. You may have to pay. It's through the nose. That's wild. So those are the things. Again, these are kitchen table affordability topics in conversation. And from what I understand, the administration is working on it. They are talking about what can be done. And Dr. Oz, in fact, I saw a story, was looking at this, weighing some of the, maybe extending the subsidies until they have a chance to get, because you can't overhaul this thing like right out of the gate. You can't like right now just say, okay, we got to release a whole new system. Then Congress has to vote on it. They have to do all these things. You got to talk about it. There's got to be debate and all those. And so in order for that to actually happen, and think about it, in an election year, there's no way Democrats can let them do that. They're going to have to extend this somehow. Otherwise, it's going to get wonky. It's going to get wonky. But I'm telling you, these costs of these things, and these are not Trump issues. He didn't cause the problem, but he is working on trying to solve the problem. It'll be interesting to see how it all sort of plays out. Oz, Trump administration weighing ACA subsidies extension. This is what the article says in the Hill. Dr. Mehmet Oz, the administrative centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services, said Sunday the Trump administration holding discussions on extending subsidies offered under the Affordable Care Act. There is just now. By the way, the whole system's broke, and it was built to break. That's why. The Obamacare thing, it was built to break. The majority of fraud Oz is referencing, by the way, he says there are discussions around this. He said the old system, it needs to get overhauled. We got to extend this without paralyzing the old system. He said that the old system had a lot of fraud. Does that surprise anybody? Referencing concerns, agents, brokers, web brokers, and third parties that enroll people in the ACA marketplace, according to health policy research. The ACA subsidies, which require at the end of the year or expire rather, were a source of conflict during the 43 days. Well, that's what the Democrats were trying to say was the reason why they were trying to shut everything down, because they wanted this all negotiated. Trump said this is the worst possible time you could try to negotiate this. We're not going to be backed into a corner. We need to do this correctly. And he held strong. So for any critics out there, anybody that want to question what he's up to, I mean, they did the right thing. So the next question is, how do they figure this and what does come out and what's next? Now, Trump, And then they got a clip here. I don't know. I'm going to check this. We'll see. I don't know. This could or could. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with what we're hearing here.
On health care ahead of a vote next month.
We're negotiating with lawmakers, and I've had personal talks with some Democrats. I can't tell you who they are. I just don't want to do that. It's not fair to them. About paying large amounts of dollars back to the people. This was my idea. It came up during that. Oftentimes under times of stress, like the shutdown, you come up with great ideas that you wouldn't have thought of before. The insurance companies are making a fortune. Their stock is up over 1,000% over a short period of time.
He's right. By the way, I mean, I don't know if you know this. The only people making out on this, and that's what the whole thing is built around, is really just making a massive windfall for insurance companies. They want, and they're seeing massive profits, as he just mentioned, for these insurance companies. And all while the care gets worse, the plans get more expensive, and the doctors make less. Make that one make sense. The insurance companies are raking in the dough, and they know there's nothing they have to do because guess what? All of this is codified in law.
They are taking in hundreds of billions of dollars, and they're not really putting it back, certainly not like they should. So when I see this, and when I've seen this over the last pretty short period of time, I said, why do we just pay this money directly to the people of our country and let them buy their own health insurance?
That's an interesting thought. I don't know how it'll work. I don't know completely how this whole thing's going to work, but it's an interesting thought. The money goes to the people it doesn't go, and then they can buy whatever plan they want with it. Now, I think it probably end up with a lot of people if you there's no way to put a stipulation on it. If you just send people money, how do you make them buy the insurance? I don't know. This is a lot of this is going to have to be kind of figured out in the wash here.
And I made that statement, and I made it a little bit cavalierly, but it sounded good. And everybody has picked it up, including Democrats. And I am talking to some Democrats right now about doing that. People love it. We're going to take the money. Well, if it gets approved, we're going to take the money. We're going to pay it back to the people of our country to go out and buy health insurance. Now, they can put it in a health account. We can do it a lot of different ways. But they buy their own health insurance. They can negotiate price. And it's going to be locked, so they can't go out and buy a Cadillac. They can go out and buy health insurance.
There you go. So I don't know. That was interesting. I mean, it's an interesting piece. And again, this is not, they're not going to answer this. This is not going to be something they have an answer to anytime soon. But it's one of the biggest pieces. They got to make sure they're taking care of these people and trying to get things now worked out. Again, I don't know about you, but yeah, I think the affordability, not just on this story, but on everything is so important. Now, talk of the weekend for us in some of these situations, the cost of Thanksgiving. Now we know Aldi's got a meal, $40 it feeds 10 people. We know that I think it was Walmart came out with the cheapest Thanksgiving turkey in several years. Target
is dropping prices ahead of the holidays. The company announcing reduced costs on 3,000 food, beverage, and essential items starting this month. Target is also bringing back its Thanksgiving meal at its lowest price ever.
They don't really make that much money on food. So this is a way to get you to come into the store to buy other things. It's a doorbuster in some ways. That's why a lot of the grocery stores will do it. But I will tell you, it is incredible to see that the prices of things, they do have the wiggle room they can do.
The deal gives customers a complete dinner with all your holiday favorites for less than $5 per person. Target is dropping.
That's not bad. Holiday favorites, less than $5 a person. Aldi had 4. You could feed 10 people for $40. That's $4 a person. So that's a good deal too. But, these are the things that people care about more than anything else. It's the stuff that hits them and right away, most immediately. Hey, is Carla in the chat? Did I just see Carla in the chat? Carla Wagner here. Axe My Tax, property taxes. By the way, there's a big push, and Carla's at the front of a lot of this too, and so is another name you might recognize. Ron DeSantis wants to get it done down in Florida too.
From the property tax situation, it's very important given how that's pinched so many homeowners, particularly our senior citizens who have their homes paid off and they bought it 30 years ago for a certain amount. Now they're being told it's worth so much more and they have to pony up more and more money. It's almost like they have to pay rent to the government just to be able to enjoy their property. And that's wrong. And we need to do something about it. From the property tax situation, it's very important.
I think you're going to see more and more people, and this is going to pick up because it is such a massive, I think it's a big conversation people are starting to have, especially when you talk about affordability of homes as well. It's another piece that's baked in there. It's in your home cost. If you have a mortgage, chances are it's in your mortgage. You have to pay that every month as well. Now, some people think it's not a good idea because it's hiding in there and people don't know, but it does. It drives the cost of your home up as well. If you look at it that way, at the end of the day, you think about people losing their homes and for crazy things. Now, I don't have a lot of time to get into this one. It's back and forth. Sometimes some of these fights and feuds, I wonder if they're staged. I won't get in to like my conspiracy theory on this, but all the world's a stage. There's some things that I've seen and just people that I know and things that I've kind of noticed and go, that's kind of odd. I just wonder about some of this stuff. Now Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG, are fighting. Trump's got a new nickname for her, by the way.
Her life is in danger. Who's that?
Marjorie Taylor Greene, she says.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think her.
He made the reporter say her name so he could throw the nickname out. Watch this. Now I'm not laughing. I don't think she's a traitor. He might feel a little betrayed. I don't know. Again, if all this is real, I don't know. This bickering, the back and forth, it's funny it's sad to watch some of this. But at the end of the day, is it entertaining? Or are you not entertained? Maybe that's part of what I think he kind of likes some of that. And that, I don't know. Again, some of this, I'm just telling you, like, this would be a much deeper conversation I have to get to at another time. But let's play this back so that you can hear it and listen to what he thinks. Makes her say, "Who's that? Who's that?"
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
He goes, "Wait a minute. This is her lives and dead. Who's that? Who's that?"
Marjorie Taylor Greene, she says.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
The reporter has to say the name again. One more time. This is it.
Who's that?
Marjorie Taylor Greene, she says.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think.
I don't think it. Yeah, the way he operates, I get a chuckle out of it. I don't know if I should be laughing at that or not.
Her life is in danger. Frankly, I don't think anybody cares about her. Okay, what about you?
Are you negotiating?
Her life.
All right, see, here's what I'm saying to you. This is interesting, and this is my point. Michigan Joe said Trump is way off attacking MTG and Massey. I don't have time to get into all of this, folks, but I think there's other things happening. I understand what you're saying because I like both these people. I like Massey. I like Rand Paul. I like MTG. But I think there's things going on behind us. And this might have to be like a fireside chat or something one day. But I think there's stuff happening behind the scenes here. And I can't necessarily put my finger on it 100% other than to tell you I just think there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And my spidey senses are tingling. That's just my discernment. I don't know. Anyway, Trump on talking to the reporters.
to talk. What does that mean?
Venezuela would like to talk. What does it mean? You tell me. I don't know.
You want to talk to them?
I talk to anybody. I talk to you. Right? I talk to anybody. We'll see what happens.
Listen, I talk to anybody. I talk to you. I talk to you folks. It's been a blast talking to you. We have a meeting scheduled that I have to wrap up and get to. So unfortunately, that's gonna do it for today. But I talk to anybody. I talk to you. And I love doing. What a day. Lots still yet to get to. I barely. Man, Kristen, see, that's the reason why I think it's fake. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think like 100% one way or the other. It's just one of the options, the thoughts that comes to mind. I go, wait a minute. Something just not right here. Now, I don't know that I'm like married to that. I just have thoughts and I go, what about that? And I'm able to like sort of like put them up on a shelf and take it down, look at it, examine it, put it back up there. Yeah, I don't know about that. So I just kind of think about these. And we'll have to do another show to talk more about that in the days ahead. In the meantime, love you all. Appreciate you. Make it a great one. God bless.